Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
Guess who's here?
You, by the way, you had an interesting thought on was it Threads? You said Trump supporters
Maybe.
fully grasp he has dementia. They are still voting for Trump because they expect that JD Vance will run the government the same way Trump would. Trump will be a Pinot, president in name only. Yeah. I've heard more and more people saying that, Dean, and it's terrifying. He's
Pinot.
39 years old. He's
Pinot
completely
the term I've made up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he is a
Go ahead.
Pinot.
No, somebody said, people call my show and said they're going to invoke the 25th Amendment. That is too big. That's too much in the world of it's shocking. We've never had a president removed by the 25th Amendment. You don't need to. You do like Ronald Reagan. The last year or so of Ronald Reagan reporting about Leslie Stahl and others said he had some form of dementia, Ronald Reagan. So his wife and others just had him and manipulated him to do what they thought he was going to do anyway. Trump will just turn the Project 2025 people will just turn that into law by legislation or by executive orders, one after the other, and they'll give him a cheeseburger and a Diet Coke, and he'll sit there and smile.
By the way, so we were talking about how great Kamala Harris did. Over 7 million viewers on Fox. Trump only got 3 million. And as we were saying, it's just they operate in bad faith. Brett Baier didn't play the wrong clip on it by accident. But you just said, so when will Trump bring his lame ass on MSNBC? When will politicos demand that? You said not only does he not have the guts to go on MSNBC, Trump doesn't even have the guts to go on Fox News and be interviewed by Brett Baier. I mean, right?
Brett Baier. The last time Brett Baier interviewed Donald Trump was last June in 2023, not gone on. And in fact, Brett Baier said when he was on Sean Hannity's show the night after that whatever you call it, the interview, he said, I hope the former president will come back on my show. He won't. He's canceled one after the other. Politico has an article today that Donald Trump's canceled other interviews, and his staff said it was because of exhaustion. Mm-hmm. Then they got out and they go, oh, no, we never said that. No, you did say that.
Right.
The man is 78, and some people at 78 are full of life and vigor and everything. They've got it. Remember, Dr. Fauci was 80. Some, like Donald Trump, have clear signs of cognitive decline, potentially dementia. I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to say that. But we all see the decline. And my point, Stephanie, is that Donald Trump's cognitive decline is not a political issue. It's a national security issue. You can't have a president who can be that easily manipulated by our enemies, by even people in the White House who will make him do things he may or may not even understand what he's signing. Yeah. It's really, and that's why the press has to cover it. Yeah. They should have panels with doctors on, not me, real doctors, talking about what they're seeing and what would it mean in the future, a guy like this with even more pressure.
So dangerous.
Does it exacerbate the situation?
Yeah. You retweeted our friend, Frankie Figs. Yeah.
Frankie Figs.
Yeah, Frankie Figs.
Frankie Five Angels. Hey, how you doing, Frankie Five Angels?
How you doing, Frankie Figs? He said, I said it, Trump's military solution for enemies within is what a fascist might propose. I mean, they've been accusing us of hyperbole forever, right? And you're like, this is textbook fascism.
Yeah.
I had Frankie Figs was on my show yesterday.
Hey, Frankie Figs.
Five Angels was in The Godfather too, Frankie Petangeli. But this is Frankie Figs. Frankie has no connection anytime. He was an FBI guy, right. But we talked about it yesterday. And look, Stephanie, we've talked about this before. Academics have laid out what fascism is. I haven't invented the definition. I just watched the boxes get checked and told people for the last few years. I would go on MSNBC with some anchors. I would say fascism. They looked at me like I just stabbed them. Mm-hmm. And others like Joy Reid were like, you're exactly right. Others were like, that's a little too over the top. I'm like, but I'm just citing people like Madeleine Albright in her book, Fascism: A Warning. Right. And Timothy Snyder and Jason Stanley. I'm like, I'm not making this up. Yeah. And now finally we're at the point where just today, by the way, before I came on, I said not only Mark Milley, but Bulldog Mathis or whatever is the other general said that Trump's one of the greatest threats to our nation. Yeah. And that just came out a short time ago.
I keep saying it's so against their military code. They obviously feel incredibly strongly about it to speak out. I just say one more, Justice is coming, Stack. Since you're filling in for Glenn today, a federal judge swiftly shot down a ban by the administration of Ron DeSantis that targeted an ad backing a pro-abortion ballot measure in the state. He said the government cannot excuse its indirect censorship of political speech simply by declaring the disavowed speech is false. To keep it simple for the state of Florida, it's the First Amendment, stupid. I mean, they are desperate to keep these pro-choice amendments off because they are wildly popular.
I didn't know I was filling in for Glenn. I should speak like Glenn. First of all, Stephanie. Now go through this thing. Second. Third. Let me tell you, in my 35 years in the courtroom as a prosecutor, when I would talk to the judge, this is the thing I would say. We all love Glenn. Look, I hope people pay attention to Florida, not for what they did, but the fact is they are never going to give up, right?
Yeah.
Progress is not permanent. And
Ron DeSantis is never done wasting taxpayer money on frivolous lawsuits, whether it's against Disney or anyone else, right?
Exactly. But the point is that when we move forward on things, because they overturned Roe v. Wade after 50 plus years, they are emboldened. And they are going to come at every issue from banning birth control to forcing a national abortion ban to any issue they believe in. They feel like we can get it. It might take a few more years. And they're going to come through it indirectly or directly. And Ron DeSantis got kicked in the butt because he tried to come at something indirectly that he couldn't do directly.
You have something big to promote. I'm not going to let you do it, though, and that's how I'm going to keep you for another segment. Listen, all I know is that you should go to the 21st Annual New York Arab American Comedy Festival with Dean Obeidallah.
Yeah!
At the famous Joe's Pub, a fantastic venue there in New York City. And how do we get tickets, Dean?
ArabComedy.com, or you just Venmo me money, and I'll just do what I want with it. But ArabComedy.com, we have last night was our first show. It was sold out, and we have 4 more shows tonight, 2 shows, and tomorrow 2 shows. Over 20 Arab American comics from all over the country. It's our not-for-profit festival that I co-created with my friend Mason Zayed, and we're looking for Joe's Pub is in the public theater in Lower Manhattan.
Humor will save us.
Astor Place. It's a great place. It's a lot of fun. Come on out. You have a lot of fun. You're going to get some laughs. You're going to learn things. It's great.
Yeah. Comedy will save us. I know your show is great. I've heard how great it is. Sexy Liberal Tour, obviously been selling out theaters for 13 years. Jody and Chris were just saying that Jimmy Kimmel's doing some of the best campaign ads, the funniest stuff. I mean, humor will save us from this long national nightmare, which is why I bring up the Middle East when we have a couple minutes to go.
Sure.
So
it's always good for 2 minutes.
Yeah, great.
The killing of the Hamas.
It got solved in the break. You didn't understand. During the break, they solved
never
it.
mind then.
So it's all done.
No,
I
mean the killing of the Hamas, leader behind October 7th. I think good news for everybody. As you know, talk to you off air. I pester you. I sometimes talk to my friend who has relatives that live in Israel. I texted to a friend this tweet: as a Jew whose cousin was murdered in Israel, with my family running since the Spanish Inquisition, killed during the Holocaust in Ukraine and Auschwitz, we need a safe place for Jewish people, but not by murdering the people in Gaza. Trade Netanyahu for the hostages. Yeah. So I sent this to my Jewish friend, and he wrote back, Hamas can go themselves for 10-7 and for recently shooting the hostages in the head. Return the survivor hostages now, then we'll talk. Anything less is a continuing attack. Jews have tried to reason and intellectualize either their enemies for millennia, only to be hated and slaughtered in mass. The whole region can off too if they aid and abet. That was not the reaction I was expecting.
Right. But it's also, it's a lot of emotion, in this. And you've got a situation now in the Israeli papers today, because my fiance Hend is there visiting her family in Haifa, and as I mentioned last time, she's still there.
Right.
Flights are so hard to get out. And in the papers there, they're hoping this is a chance to have a deal to release the hostages and potentially a new way forward. We won't know in the future. Netanyahu is not a partner for peace in terms of Palestinian state, but maybe he'll agree to something now to get the hostages out. I don't know, because Gerald Nadler, my congressman in July, was very upfront. Said Prime Minister Netanyahu is introducing new conditions standing in the way of a deal that would have released the hostages then.
I hope the same thing happens to him that happens to Trump. I hope they vote him out and he ends up in prison.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.